I want you to start by picturing a scenario. And this is going to sound like it was ripped straight out of, like, a near-future sci-fi thriller.
Oh, absolutely. I love a good sci-fi hypothetical.
Right. So imagine you're just sitting in your living room, you're drinking your morning coffee.
Okay, setting the scene.
Yeah. And your dog wanders into the room. Let's say it's a golden retriever.
Great dogs. Very expressive.
They are. So the dog stops right in front of you and just stares.
Oh, I know that stare very well.
Exactly. It's that intense, unblinking stare that usually means they want something from you.
But you never really know what it is.
Right. You have no earthly idea. I mean, is it food? Is it a walk? Did a squirrel just, like, mock them from the window?
Usually it's the squirrel.
Probably the squirrel. But normally you just have to guess.
Right.
But in this scenario, you just pull out your phone, you open the camera, and you point it at your dog.
Okay.
And instantly, hovering right over their head in augmented reality is a subtitle.
Like a literal text subtitle.
A literal text-based subtitle. And it decodes their exact thoughts, needs, and emotions.
That is wild.
And it doesn't just give you a vague, generalized guess either. It gives you a highly specific translation of their intent.
And we're talking about a pretty high accuracy rate here, right?
We're talking an accuracy rate of about 93%.
Wow. 93%.
You can read exactly what another species is thinking.
Which is just mind-bending.
It is. Now, ask yourself, how far into the distant, unimaginable future does that technology exist?
I mean, most people would guess 50 years. 100 years.
Try 0.
0.
Yeah. This isn't science fiction anymore. This incredible breakthrough has just been announced right now in May of 2026. It is here. Today's show is an inspiring celebration of impossible ideas and the minds brave enough to chase them down. Finding passengers bold enough to embark on our good ship's journey is harder than most people think. So drop a very humane thumbs up right now to send a signal flare to drifting knowledge pirates like yourself. We know they're out there. Let's bring them home. We're keeping it lighthearted as usual, but we promise to never skimp on the intelligence. Now, let's kick off this voyage with today's new revelations.
And it really is a massive revelation today.
It's huge. So what are we actually looking at?
We are looking at a dispatch from a source called the Innermost Loop. It's curated by Dr. Wisner Gross.
Okay.
And the title of this particular piece is The First Consumer-Scale Interspecies Foundation Model.
That is a very academic-sounding title for something so emotionally resonant.
It is, but it perfectly describes the science.
So our mission for this deep dive is to explore exactly how the AI singularity is, for the very first time, learning its second language.
Right. It's finally moving beyond human data.
Exactly. We'll unpack the cutting-edge hardware behind this revolutionary consumer device. We'll explore why almost everything we previously believed about animal translation was just fundamentally wrong.
Completely backward in many cases.
Yeah, total backward. And we're going to investigate the profound legal, biological, and existential implications of finally crossing the communication barrier with an entirely different species.
It's a lot to cover. But to truly grasp the magnitude of this breakthrough, I think we first have to examine the current state of artificial intelligence.
Okay, let's do that.
Because we have to acknowledge a glaring limitation that most people completely overlook.
The bottleneck.
Yes, the bottleneck. Despite all the incredible leaps we've seen in machine learning, there has been a massive fundamental hurdle.
Which is what?
Well, up until this exact moment, the singularity has been completely and entirely fluent in exactly one species.
Us.
Exactly. Just us, human beings.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I think it's really easy for all of us to look at the massive foundation models we use every single day and assume they're, like, omniscient.
Oh, for sure. People think they know everything.
Right, because they write code, they generate photorealistic images, they synthesize complex philosophical arguments.
They pass the bar exams.
Yeah, they pass the bar. But there is a massive blind spot here.
A completely glaring blind spot.
Everything that AI has ever learned in the entire history of its development came from a record that had already been documented by a human being.
That is the crucial epistemological trap of modern AI right there.
It's just a mirror.
Exactly. Every single parameter in a large language model is essentially just a mirror reflecting human digital exhaust.
Digital exhaust. I like that phrase.
It's accurate. Think about it. Text, computer code, protein structures, digitized photographs.
All human-made.
Right.
Oh.
Humanity had already painstakingly measured and documented each of those domains.
So the machine didn't actually have to discover anything novel about the physical world.
Not at all. It merely had to ingest the records we had already structured for it.
Okay, so the way I look at current AI is like this incredibly brilliant, unparalleled, speed-reading scholar.
I like that analogy.
Right. But this scholar has been locked inside an expansive library their entire life.
They've never seen the outside world.
Never once stepped outside, so they know everything contained within the books.
They can quote any passage.
Exactly. They can cross-reference millions of texts in a fraction of a second. But if a subject was never written down and placed into a book in that library, the scholar is completely blind to it.
And that's the issue with animals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because no dog has ever written a memoir explaining the nuanced semantic meaning of its various barks.
As far as we know.
Right, as far as we know. So our brilliant scholar has zero frame of reference.
Which brings us to the core scientific hurdle of non-human cognition.
There is no historical record.
None. Zero. I mean, we have centuries of acoustic data.
Sure, like whale songs and bird calls on tape.
Exactly. We know the frequency, the amplitude, the pitch of animal vocalizations.
But that doesn't actually mean anything, does it?
No, because acoustic properties tell you absolutely nothing about the internal cognitive intent of the mind producing that sound.
It's just noise without context.
Exactly. And when technologists are faced with a lack of data, their default instinct is usually to just synthesize it.
Right, the classic Silicon Valley solution. If we don't have the data, we'll just spin up a generative adversarial network and hallucinate a million fake dog barks to train the model on.
Yeah, just brute force the data creation.
But that doesn't actually work here, does it?
It fails completely.
Why?
Well, the reason why requires us to look at how synthetic data actually functions in high-dimensional space.
Okay, let's get into the weeds a bit.
Synthetic data only works by interpolating within a distribution of data that a model has already mapped.
Meaning what, exactly?
Imagine you have 10,000 pictures of human faces. The AI can interpolate the latent space between those data points and generate a synthetic human face that doesn't actually exist.
Right, this person does not exist, websites.
Exactly. But it still adheres to the mathematical rules of human facial structure.
Because it knows what a face is supposed to look like.
Right. It's making an educated guess based on established ground truth.
But you can't do that with a dog's bark.
No, because you cannot artificially generate the semantic intent behind a dog's bark. You have no baseline distribution of that reality.
You have no ground truth to interpolate.
Exactly.
Because the meaning of the bark doesn't just live in the isolated sound wave.
Where does it live?
It lives in the environment. It lives in what the dog was looking at right before it barked.
The context.
Yeah, the context, the physical posture of its body, the consequence of the action. You just can't synthesize context you've never actually observed.
Dr. Wisner Gross phrases this perfectly in the source.
What does he say?
He says the data has to be measured into existence.
Measured into existence. That is a great phrase.
It really is. Meaning is grounded in the physical environment. You cannot solve this problem in a server rack.
You have to solve it in the physical world.
Yes. You are trying to measure a completely undocumented form of cognition from scratch.
So how do you build a library for a language that has literally never been written down?
You have to build an entirely new kind of instrument.
To capture it directly from the source.
And that instrument is the core of our deep dive today. We need to introduce a company called Sarama.
Right, Sarama.
Founded by Prerful Mathur and advised by Dr. Wisner Gross.
And they have backing from Aereo 21T Capital, right?
They do. And Sarama's approach represents a radical departure from all the prior art in the field of interspecies communication.
Well, let's talk about that prior art, because people have certainly been trying to use machine learning to decode animal communication for years.
Decades, really.
Yeah? You have the Earth Species Project, you have Google's Dolphin Gemma.
Project CETI is another big one, trying to decode sperm whales.
Right. But they all hit the exact same scaling wall.
Because they rely on the traditional academic model of data collection.
Oh.
Well, a team of highly trained researchers has to go out into the field. They set up expensive recording equipment.
And then wait.
And wait. They capture the animal vocalizations. They take meticulous field notes on the behavioral context.
Like the whale flipped its tail when it made this click.
Exactly. Then they bring all that raw data back to a lab, and then human annotators have to manually label it.
Which is an agonizingly slow process.
Painfully slow.
I mean, you can only gather as much data as you have graduate students standing in the woods with clipboards, you know?
Precisely. It is a severe, unscalable bottleneck.
So what did Sarama do differently?
Sarah realized that to build a foundation model, you need billions of data points.
Not just a few thousand.
Right. Billions. You cannot rely on researcher-collected archives. You have to shift to consumer scale, in-home data.
And the instrument they engineered to do this is a smart collar.
Yes, a specialized smart collar.
Okay, I have to stop you there, because the second I hear smart collar equipped with sensors, massive alarm bells start ringing in my head.
I completely understand why.
Let's play devil's advocate for a second. We are talking about outfitting our pets with a device that has a camera, a microphone, and motion sensors.
That's right.
And then letting them walk freely around our homes. They're in our bedrooms, they're in our kitchens.
They're listening to our private conversation.
Yes. That sounds like an absolute privacy nightmare. How is this not just live streaming the intimate details of our lives directly to a tech company's servers?
It is the single most critical vulnerability of consumer hardware. And the source details exactly how Sarama circumvented it. Through edge computing and the mathematical abstraction of data,
Okay, break that down for me.
the collar does not transmit raw audio or raw video feeds to the cloud. Ever.
What does it transmit then?
It transmits what are called feature vectors.
Feature vectors. Okay, let's break down feature vectors because it's actually a brilliant solution.
It really is.
Think of it like this. Imagine you're sitting in a concert hall, listening to an orchestra play a symphony.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
If you record that performance on your phone, you are capturing a raw audio file.
Right, an MP3 or whatever.
Yeah. It captures the specific sound of the violins, but it also captures the cough from the guy in the third row.
The squeak of the conductor's shoes.
Exactly. The hum of the air conditioning. That is raw, unedited reality.
Which is analogous to the raw mic feed in your living room.
Right. But what if, instead of recording the sound, you just wrote down the sheet music?
Just the note.
Just the exact mathematical notation of the notes, the tempo, the rhythm. That sheet music is a feature vector.
That is an excellent way to visualize it.
It contains the underlying mathematical structure of the event, but it strips away all the identifying raw noise of the environment.
So no coughing guy, no air conditioning.
And no private conversations from your living room.
Exactly. The collar's onboard processor acts as an edge computing device.
Meaning it does the thinking locally.
Right. It analyzes the raw video of your living room and the raw audio of your environment locally, right on the collar itself.
And then what?
It mathematically extracts the relevant data. The dog's posture, the acoustic frequency of the bark, the visual presence of a food bowl.
And it discards the rest.
It discards everything else immediately. It only sends the mathematical the sheet music back to the servers.
So privacy is handled at the hardware architecture level.
Completely bypassed.
But the thing that truly makes this system revolutionary is how those specific sensors interact to solve the massive bottleneck we talked about earlier.
The labeling problem.
Yes, the labeling problem.
Right. Remember, the founder, Prerful Mathur, is a consumer supply chain expert.
He understands vertically integrated systems.
Yes, and his chief scientist, Peter Berment, is a bioacoustics researcher.
The one who worked on Project CD.
Exactly. Berment spent years dealing with the agonizing process of manually labeling whale codus,
I can't even imagine how tedious that is.
only to realize he couldn't even decode his own dog at home.
Which is painfully ironic.
It is. They knew they needed a system that removed the human from the loop entirely.
And the solution they came up with is a self-labeling loop.
Yes.
Because you have 3 distinct sensors, a camera, a mic, and a motion sensor. They can verify each other.
They triangulate the intent.
But I have a question about how this actually works in practice.
Sure.
Let's say a dog is barking. How does the machine know why without a human typing it in?
Let's walk through the sensor fusion process. Imagine the dog is hungry.
Okay.
The collar's camera captures the visual frame of an empty food bowl.
Got it.
Simultaneously, the motion sensor, the accelerometer, logs the physical lunge, or the specific pacing the dog exhibits when anticipating food.
Okay, so vision and motion are aligned.
Right. And at the exact same millisecond, the microphone logs the acoustic frequency and amplitude of the bark.
So you have 3 entirely distinct, independent sensory modalities that are all pointing to the exact same intent. Okay, but wait. What if the dog is lunging at a favorite toy that just happens to be sitting right next to the food bowl?
That's a very fair point.
Doesn't the camera see the bowl, the mic hears the bark, and the system accidentally labels a play intent as a hunger intent?
It could, in a vacuum.
Right. So how does a self-labeling system avoid compounding its own errors?
That is the beauty of continuous time series data at scale.
Scale is the magic word here.
Yes. In a single isolated incident, Yes, the machine might miscorrelate the toy with the bowl.
It makes a mistake.
But machine learning models don't rely on single incidents. They rely on statistical distribution over time.
Right.
The next 50 times the dog lunges at the toy, the bowl won't be in the frame. Or the dog will be in the living room or out in the yard.
The only consistent variable across thousands of iterations of that specific bark and motion will be the toy.
Exactly. The noise drops out, and the true signal, the ground truth, is mathematically reinforced.
The physical world provides the context automatically.
It is continuously correcting the model's assumptions.
So the sensors act as an automated, highly rigorous scientific observer.
24/7.
And when you remove the human from that labeling process, the data set can compound infinitely.
With zero friction.
Think about how much dark data your pet generates every single day.
It's staggering.
Every sigh, every subtle ear twitch, every specific variation of a whine. Historically, all of that profound biological data just vanished into the ether.
It was lost history.
Now that everyday mundane behavior occurring in millions of living rooms is the bedrock of a new scientific frontier.
And the source notes they are heading toward 1 million annotated bark sequences by 2026.
Which is just an unprecedented volume of behavioral data.
Nothing else comes close.
But gathering 1 million barks brings us face to face with a massive misconception we've harbored about animal communication for centuries.
A very persistent myth.
Yeah, because even with all that data, you cannot build a universal translator for dogs.
You really can't.
This completely shattered my preconceived notions.
It surprises a lot of people.
Because we've always had this assumption, heavily influenced by cartoons and science fiction.
That a bark is a bark.
Right. We assume a bark is a static noun. We assume there is this universal Rosetta Stone for the dog language.
Like a French to English dictionary.
Exactly. And if we just crack the code, we'll find a dictionary where bark type A universally equals squirrel for every single golden retriever on the planet.
And the source makes it explicitly clear why a universal bark dictionary fundamentally fails.
Why does it fail?
It fails for the exact same reason a universal human dictionary would fail if you stripped away all cultural context, regional dialect, and personal history.
Meaning is not objective?
No. Meaning is not an objective property encoded into the universe.
It's subjective.
Yes. Meaning is entirely individual and heavily dependent on the specific lived experience of the entity producing the signal.
So Sarama isn't building one giant monolithic AI model that tries to understand the concept of dog.
That would be scientifically useless.
It wouldn't work. Instead, they are building a bespoke, highly personalized foundation model for each individual dog.
One model per dog.
Your dog gets its own private AI.
Trained exclusively on the high-dimensional data of your dog's own life.
Its own home environment, its own unique neuroses and habits.
Right. We thought we were looking for a universal dictionary, but we actually needed a highly personalized, continuously updating diary.
Let's examine the cognitive and psychological implications of this, because an individualized model is actually biologically necessary, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Consider 2 dogs of the exact same breed.
Okay, 2 Goldens.
2 Goldens. One is a rescue dog who spent his early life on the streets.
So it's developed severe resource guarding, maybe a fear response to strangers.
Exactly. The other is a pampered lapdog who has only ever known affection and treats from humans.
Very different life experiences.
Now, if a delivery driver approaches the front door, both dogs might emit an acoustically identical bark.
The sound wave looks exactly the same on a graph.
Yes, a universal model would label both barks as alert, human approaching.
But the internal cognitive state is wildly different.
Or radically opposed, actually.
What's the rescue dog's bark mean?
The rescue dog's bark means threat detected, extreme fear, defensive posture required.
And the lap dog?
The lapdog's bark means anticipation, excitement, potential social interaction.
It expects a treat.
Exactly. The personalized AI model learns these deeply ingrained psychological differences by observing the specific dog's baseline behavior over time.
It maps the latent space of that specific mind.
Yes, individual by individual.
And the way this personalized model is delivered to the user is just fascinating. The product comes via an app with 2 distinct modes. The first is the third-person augmented reality mode we talked about in the intro. You hold up your phone and you see AR subtitles overlaying your dog.
Which is visually incredible.
But the second mode is a first-person caller mode.
Like a dog's eye view.
Yeah. It actually streams a dog's eye view from the caller's camera. accompanied by a scrolling newsfeed of your dog's attempted communications.
It shows what it is visually focusing on.
And its core biological needs in real time.
The fact that this system is operating at roughly a 93% accuracy rate for emotion and intent is staggering.
It's unheard of.
It can identify individual dogs purely by their voice,
Wow.
and it establishes a core needs vocabulary. It is vastly surpassing traditional academic benchmarks.
I feel like if you're a pet owner, this is the ultimate validation.
Oh, without a doubt.
Because deep down, you've always known you could understand your dog.
You've lived with them for years.
Right. When someone comes over and says, oh, he's just barking at nothing, you instinctively correct them.
You say, no, that's his specific bark for when his toy is stuck under the sofa.
Exactly. And people probably told you that you were anthropomorphizing the animal.
Projecting human intent onto mindless noise.
But you weren't. You intuitively understood the high-dimensional context of that specific animal's life.
Because you were the multimodal sensor watching them.
Yes. The AI isn't inventing a new language. It's mathematically validating the intuition that pet owners have relied on for millennia.
It quantifies the bond.
It really does. But the source quickly pivots to reveal that this bespoke translation technology goes far beyond just novelty.
It's not just a parlor trick for walks.
No. It actually addresses a devastating life-or-death biological reality that has plagued the human-animal relationship since the dawn of domestication.
This is where the implications get very heavy.
They do. Because if you have ever loved and lost a pet, you know the immense guilt of finding out too late that they were sick.
It's a horrible feeling.
You take them to the vet for what you think is just a minor issue, and the vet informs you that the animal has been suffering from a severe chronic illness for months.
And you had absolutely no idea.
None. They looked fine. They acted fine. You constantly ask yourself, how could I have missed this?
But you missed it because you were fighting against millions of years of evolutionary biology.
Elaborate on that. Why do they hide it?
Well, dogs are fundamentally predators that became domesticated.
Right. They came from wolves.
And wild predators harbor a deeply ingrained biological imperative to mask vulnerability.
Because showing pain makes you a target.
Exactly. In a wild pack structure or in a competitive ecosystem, if you show weakness, you lose your status. Or worse, you become prey.
So they hide it to survive.
That primal instinct did not vanish just because the animal now sleeps on a memory foam bed in your living room.
They are biologically programmed to hide their physical suffering from you until the pathology is so advanced they literally cannot conceal it anymore.
It's an evolutionary poker face.
A poker face. I like that. Their biology is forcing them to project normalcy.
But while they can fool a human visual cortex, they cannot hide from a continuously watching multimodal AI model.
Because it sees everything.
The Sarama collar isn't just listening for obvious whimpers of pain.
What else is it looking at?
It is tracking microscopic variations in their gait.
Subtle changes in how they walk.
Right. Subtle changes in how long they hesitate before jumping onto the couch.
Oh, wow.
Minute deviations in their daily circadian rhythm. It sees the data underneath the poker face.
So this technology essentially installs a functional check engine light for carbon-based life forms.
A check engine light is the perfect analogy.
And when you grant a voiceless creature a continuous objective metric of its own physical well-being.
A literal, quantifiable voice that reports its pain and state of mind.
It sends shockwaves far beyond veterinary medicine, doesn't it?
Yes. It fundamentally alters the legal framework of society.
The legal framework. This part is wild.
The source notes that the law is actively scrambling to catch up to this new level of understanding. We are witnessing a monumental shift in jurisprudence regarding how animals are treated.
Right. The dispatch points out that states like New York and Pennsylvania are beginning to weigh a companion animal's best interest in divorce cases.
Which is a massive departure from historical precedent.
Because under traditional property law, a dog is legally indistinguishable from a coffee maker or a piece of furniture, right?
Yes. Legally speaking, it's considered a chattel. It is an asset to be divided.
But this legal framework is shifting from the concept of property toward the concept of personhood.
To understand the gravity of this, we need to briefly examine what separates property from personhood in legal philosophy.
Let's do it.
Property cannot possess an intent, a preference, or a subjective internal state that the law is obligated to respect.
A coffee maker does not experience psychological distress depending on which spouse gets to keep it.
Exactly. Personhood, however, implies a recognized subjective experience.
Okay, so how does this play out in court?
The hurdle judges have always faced in these divorce cases is the evidentiary standard.
Even if a judge wanted to rule in the best interest of the dog, how do you objectively prove what the dog wants?
You couldn't. It inevitably devolves into one human's unprovable testimony against another's.
But now the judge has an empirical readout. They have a continuous data log generated by the dog itself.
The AI model can effectively testify.
That is incredible. It can demonstrate mathematically that the dog's baseline cortisol indicators and anxiety behaviors spike chronically when residing with spouse A.
But its emotional intent and physiological well-being remain at a stable, calm baseline with spouse B.
The dog is literally generating the quantifiable data required to advocate for its own legal best interest.
By giving the animal an objective, measurable voice, the AI instrument effectively forces the legal system's hand.
Because you can no longer claim the animal lacks a demonstrable preference.
It accelerates the transition from property to personhood.
Think about the immense moral weight this places on us as a society, too.
It's heavy.
For our entire history, humanity has been able to plead ignorance. We could say, I didn't know the animal was suffering, I didn't know it was unhappy, because it couldn't speak.
Plausible deniability.
Right. But if you suddenly possess the technology to know exactly, with 93% accuracy, when a voiceless creature is in pain or distress,
utilizing that technology, it becomes a profound moral imperative.
You can no longer hide behind the communication barrier. You are responsible for the truth that the AI translates.
Absolutely. And that intense emotional bond people have with their pets, combined with the incredibly intimate nature of this specific technology.
It's causing ripples in very unexpected sectors.
It is bleeding out of the realm of animal welfare and directly into the hypercharged world of national politics.
And macroeconomic infrastructure.
Yes.
This is one of the most fascinating observations in the entire source, I think.
It really stands out.
In the comments section of Dr. Wisner Gross's Substack post, a user named Kartikeya points out a brilliant political dynamic.
What do they say?
They note that progressive politicians, specifically citing Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders, frequently argue against the massive energy consumption and resource draw of AI data centers.
Which is a major ongoing debate.
Yes, about the environmental impact of these massive server farms draining the energy grid.
It is a significant point of contention regarding industrial scale and green energy policy.
But then the commenter makes this incredibly sharp observation. They write, excited to see the AOCs and Sanders of the world argue against this one. Data centers will get no better advocates than man's best friends.
That is a sharp point.
Now, regardless of where you fall on the political spectrum regarding green energy.
Or whether you agree with the commenter's rebuttal.
Exactly. The psychology of this dynamic is absolutely fascinating.
It is a brilliant sociological observation because it highlights the inherent tension between abstract industrial infrastructure and visceral emotional connection.
Break that down.
When politicians attack data centers, they are attacking a faceless abstraction.
Right. A data center is just a massive windowless concrete warehouse filled with cooling fans.
It is incredibly easy to convince a voter that this abstract, energy-hungry building is a negative externality that should be regulated or shut down.
But what happens when you tie the continuous operation of those specific servers directly to the survival of a pet?
To the health and the literal voice of a beloved family dog. The entire political calculus is inverted.
It's a political checkmate based on pure emotional attachment. People will go to war for their dogs.
They absolutely will.
If you tell a pet owner, we need to throttle the power to this data center to meet energy quotas, and they realize that doing so will sever the connection to the app that acts as their dog's check engine light.
The app that caught their dog's hidden illness.
They will defend that server farm to the bitter end.
The infrastructure is no longer an abstract warehouse. It is the life support monitor for a member of their family.
It forces a massive cognitive dissonance upon the public.
It challenges voters to examine their own biases regarding technological advancement.
Because your abstract philosophical views on macroeconomic energy policy or AI regulation might completely dissolve.
The moment that exact same regulated energy is actively translating the hidden pain of your companion animal.
It grounds the ethereal, often disconnected debate about artificial intelligence into the deeply personal, undeniable reality of the living room.
It makes it real.
It really makes you evaluate your own limits. How much energy grid consumption would you personally justify if it meant keeping the communication line open with your dog?
Most people wouldn't even blink. They'd demand more power.
Exactly. But the truth is, dogs are just the proving ground. Translating a bark is merely the first step toward the most monumental intelligence leap in the history of our planet.
The dispatch transitions from the immediate consumer-level impact of the Sarama collar to the grand overarching thesis of this entire endeavor.
And it addresses a very fundamental question. Why did dogs have to be the first species we modeled?
Why not chimpanzees or dolphins?
Exactly. Well, the answer is because they co-evolved with us.
The text argues that dogs were the mandatory starting point.
Because out of all the species on Earth, they are the most legible to human observation. We share a naturally labeled environment, our homes.
But more importantly, the source uses a word that is constantly thrown around in the AI safety community. Yes, alignment. Dr. Wisner Gross argues that dogs actually solved the alignment problem with humans tens of thousands of years ago.
And that reframing of the concept of alignment is profound.
It changes everything. In computer science, the alignment problem refers to the existential challenge of ensuring that an artificial general intelligence shares human values.
And operates in our best interests.
Rather than optimizing for a goal that destroys us, we view it as an insurmountable futuristic math problem.
But if we look at evolutionary biology, wolves were a completely alien, non-human intelligence.
Functioning as highly efficient apex predators.
Yet over millennia, they effectively aligned themselves with early humans. They learned to read our facial expressions,
Interpret our gestures.
and integrate seamlessly into our social structures, to the point where a wild predator became a fiercely loyal, symbiotic partner.
They are the original biological success story of two vastly different intelligences finding common ground.
So what does this all mean? By decoding the dog, we aren't just making a sophisticated consumer gadget?
Not at all.
Yeah.
We are studying the only successful blueprint for interspecies alignment that exists on Earth.
And once that foundation model works for dogs, the capability of the technology begins to compound exponentially outward into the broader natural world.
The source outlines exactly how this methodology scales.
How does it scale?
The mathematical protocol that successfully models the internal state of a dog can be adapted through transfer learning.
To read what?
To read a horse's subtle lameness.
Okay.
From there, it scales up to monitor the collective distress signals of an entire herd of livestock.
And from there?
It scales even further, allowing an autonomous drone flying over a rainforest to track and interpret the collective behavior and intent of a wild animal population.
The specific hardware will change. It won't always be a collar.
But the core inheritance is the method itself. It is a robust, mathematical framework for modeling a mind that fundamentally cannot tell you what it wants.
And that leads to the ultimate conclusion of this deep dive, which ties directly into the book Dr. Wisner Gross co-authored with Peter Diamandis.
The book is called Solve Everything.
Right. They write about how the intelligence revolution takes domains that are historically characterized by extreme scarcity and transforms them into domains of absolute abundance.
For our entire history, understanding the minds across the species barrier has been the most scarce resource imaginable.
It was a solid, impenetrable wall. But now, that wall is becoming an abundant bridge.
But the true target of this endeavor, the grand synthesis of this entire project, isn't just the biological kingdom.
It's not just about animals.
No. Learning to mathematically model and understand nonverbal carbon minds, like dogs, horses, and wildlife,
Is essentially the foundational training ground for an even more critical existential task.
because the minds we will most urgently need to read and understand in this century will not be made of carbon.
They will be made of silicone.
Exactly.
Wait. So the dog collar is just a dry run for the singularity.
It is the dry run. We are racing at breakneck speed to build artificial general intelligence.
You're creating vast alien minds inside server racks.
And the pervasive fear within the scientific community is that we won't understand what those AI minds are truly thinking or intending.
When they inevitably surpass our ability to comprehend their internal architecture.
Right. By developing the mathematical protocols to decode the hidden intent of a nonverbal biological mind, the dog.
We are simultaneously building the exact diagnostic tools and alignment frameworks we will need to decode the hidden intent of the artificial minds we are currently building.
We're learning to understand the biological intelligence that evolved right beside us.
Just in the nick of time to prepare us for the artificial intelligence we are giving birth to right now.
It's poetic.
It really is. You aren't just looking at a clever pet gadget in a living room. You are witnessing humanity painstakingly carving the Rosetta Stone that we will use to survive the singularity.
It is breathtaking.
It is. But it also leaves me with a lingering, slightly haunting question to send you off with. A thought that isn't explicitly answered in the text, but that I cannot stop turning over in my head.
What's the thought?
If we successfully perfect this method, if we truly cross the barrier and can flawlessly decode the exact thoughts, desires, and observations of dogs, and then wildlife, and eventually advanced AI,
What happens?
what happens when we finally hear, with absolute terrifying clarity, what these other minds actually think of us?
That is a chilling thought.
For thousands of years, humanity has controlled the narrative of this planet because we were the only ones holding the microphone. Are we psychologically prepared for the unfiltered, unvarnished feedback of the entire animal kingdom and the machines we've built? Think about that the next time your dog stares at you from across the room. The outro music is by Rainbow, our Resident 6 android girl band from near-future Bavet, Cambodia. They are the undisputed baddest band in the universe, and today's song is called Asiki QR. All finished songs are performed live using the Abacus platform by the band's creator, Human Performance in the Age of AI. Reclaiming your humanity from the algorithm. Be sure to share the playlist with someone who has the mental bandwidth to absorb these provocative ideas. Links are in the description below. Enjoy the music. Thanks for tuning in.
Display and I I'm trying to deny that I can peace from being. He says, getting ideas. Now see, this song is made for you from me. Break up the wall. I breathe that it is fine. Break up the wall. Is this love? Just the eye. He said nothing but left his song. Now I will chant it all night long. Every line was memorized. Hoping you come back one more time. Cause all too long, oh, yeah, the night that I'm never so big. The lyrics feel like what I've become. Baby, by night sound. Maybe it's an all along in a bed. Maybe Emil sing his song. Or maybe he'll know I learned every word.